Marketing Branding Conclave 2025. Title sponsor Star Cement Solid Setting. Powered by State Bank of India, the banker to every Indian. Dindal Port Authority, Kandla. Diamond partner Amrit Cement. Co-powered by Numoligo Refinery Limited, Nestle Lactogro, a nutritious and tasty biscuity and vanilla flavored milk drink. Education partner Smart IS Foundation. Inspired, empower and succeed. Ajmal Foundation. Radio partner Gupshup. Print partner Assam Tribune. Hospitality partner Radisson Blue. Digital partner GPlus.
Thank you very much, Farhana and Trisha. I wish you all the best, and I hope you have more ideas to implement, and so that all of you can be proud of that. And during tea, you can interact with them, and maybe we can come up with more ideas for our IWN members. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we're already ready for the next session. This is the branding session, Secrets of Growing a Successful Brand. And our moderator is Dr. Vasavvi Acharjya. May I request you, ma'am, to kindly come onto the dais and take your seat. And while she walks up to the dais, I'm going to speak a little bit about her. Her profile is huge. Dr. Vasavvi Acharjya is an LLB PhD, an early childhood education expert, edupreneur, TEDx speaker, social activist, mentor, child rights enthusiast, G20, W20 summit speaker, author, multi-awardee. Founder, Managing Director, Inner Eye Foundation Private Limited, Tender Petals preschool chain, My Preschool at Home, Tender Daycare, Dream Catchers, Bounce Activity Center. So she's the ideator of all this. Founder, chairperson of Early Child Development Forum, that is ECDF, D.N. Acharjya Foundation for Children and Women Welfare, Child Education and Research Development Center. She is the creator of Peaceful Humans Early Years Peace Pedagogy. Ladies and gentlemen, if I am to read out her awards, they are huge, they are mammoth, they are innumerable. So I'm going to speak out the best for Dr. Vasavvi Acharjya. She has been awarded the Best Education and Training Social Enterprise by EKK Updesh in association with the Ministry of Ayush and Fit India at the Education Excellence Conclave held in January at Delhi. So a warm welcome to you, Dr. Vasavvi Acharjya, and I'm sure we're going to have a great time during this moderation. Yes, and a round of applause for her, please. Thank you. I'd like to request the first panelist to come up onto the stage. This is in no particular order. Mr. Akash Jyoti Gogoi, owner and founder of Bahuboli Eggs. May I request you, sir, to kindly come onto the dais and take your seat. Mr. Akash Jyoti Gogoi, director, non-official of course, of the Assam Industrial Development Corporation Limited. Mr. Akash Jyoti Gogoi is an entrepreneur by profession and had established his first company in the year 2002 with a vision to bring new age technologies, instruments, learning resources and research facilities for educators, research scholars and students of various technical institutes and industries. Mr. Akash Jyoti Gogoi is also engaged in one of his most ambitious projects, that is commercialization of the traditional rice wines of Assam, known as Has, in a more scientific way. In this regard, the complete process of manufacturing of the heritage rice-based alcoholic beverage Has has been thoroughly studied and standardized by the Northeast Agro Products and Services. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Our next panelist for this panel discussion is Mr. Pradeep Purohit, Chief Operating Officer, Star Cement Limited. May I request you, sir, to kindly come onto the dais and take your seat? And a round of applause for Mr. Pradeep Purohit as we request him to take a seat. Mr. Pradeep is currently covering sales and marketing, branding, business development, corporate affairs, innovative supply chain mapping, customizing logistics networks, strategizing sourcing, system design, capacity building, project management, and many other, including Smart Building Solutions Division. He has handled and optimized many complicated facets of industrial operations. He is a strong proponent of socio-economic growth and drives the CSR initiatives of the organization. Besides industry, he takes keen interest in academics and is currently chairman, Star Public School, and member, Academic Council of the Assam Royal Global University. He takes keen interest in various industry forums and has been the chairman of CII North Bengal. It's my privilege to welcome you, sir. Our next panelist for this session is Mr. Prashant K. Mishra, co-founder, Smart IAS Foundation. May I request you to kindly take your seat on the dais, sir? 11 years of experience in educating, coaching, mentoring, overhauling, shaping the students according to their potential and goals towards life. That's been his mission. And in his words, having worked in 2 streams, JEE, NEET and UPSC, I have realized the veracity with which the whole professional guidance requirements are both personalized and generalized at the same time. Most of the institutions are able to provide the generalized part, but the gap is wider when it comes to personalized part, and I have the unique ability to identify, sense, gauge, and rectify those gaps, being long enough into the field. Unquote. Sir, it's my privilege to welcome you. Our 4th panelist is Mr. Sunit Jain, MD of Inside Brandcom Private Limited, founder and publisher, GPlus. May I request you, sir, to kindly come onto the dais and take your seat. Sunit Jain is a seasoned marketing and media professional with a strong academic foundation. He holds a postgraduate degree in advertising and public relations from St. Joseph's College of Business Administration, Bangalore, and a postgraduate diploma in business management from the prestigious Xavier Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship, Bangalore. As the managing director of Inside Brandcom, Sunit leads a team of nearly 100 professionals across India, driving innovation and growth in the marketing communication space. Sunit is also the publisher of GPlus, Guwahati's leading weekly tabloid and digital newsstand content platform in Northeast India, with a monthly reach of over 100 million. Under Sunit's leadership, GPlus has successfully launched 2 major event properties, that is the Guwahati Food Awards and the Guwahati Theatre Festival. It's my privilege to welcome you, sir. And our 5th panelist for this session is Ms. Vandana Das, independent consultant, partner, Little Odds Marketeers. May I request you, ma'am, to kindly come onto the dais and take your seat. And a round of applause, please. Ms. Vandana Das has more than 30 years of work experience across diverse product categories. Having worked in leading advertising agencies in India like Leo Burnett and Ogilvy et al. Her last stint in advertising was as the president and managing partner of DDB Mudra Group North, where she played a large role in integrating all the offerings of the group, like media, digital, healthcare, outreach, outdoor, and retail. Some of the companies that she's worked with are Yamaha, Mars Wrigley's, Bata, Dabur, Aircel, McVitie's, Adidas, Marico, Maruti, Hindustan Times, GPI, Mother Dairy, and Coca-Cola India. She is currently associated with LOM, that is Little Odd Marketeers, as a partner. It's my privilege to welcome you, ma'am. And I will now hand over, yes, a round of applause for her. And I will now hand over the session to Dr. Vasavvi Acharjya. Ma'am.
Thank you, Tina. A very warm afternoon to each and everyone present here. This, indeed, I feel is going to be a very interesting session because we'll be talking about branding, what is so important for any product or service that we introduce in the market. So I came through a very interesting quote on branding, which says, branding is your fundamental promise of whom you serve, how you make them feel, and what is different about how you deliver. Marketing is how you get this message out there once you have defined it. So we already had a wonderful discussion on marketing, and now we move ahead with this interesting session on secrets of growing a successful brand. Branding is crucial for a product because it helps establish a unique identity in a crowded market, allowing consumers to easily identify and differentiate the product from competitors. A strong brand creates trust and credibility, fosters customer loyalty, and long-term relationships. So today's panel is a dynamic group of experts from diverse fields. The session brings together innovative thinkers, thought leaders, and industry specialists to share the unique perspective and insight on growing a successful brand. So let's not delay. We will just get into the session right on. And this session will have 2 sections. One is a generic question I'll be putting forward to every panelist here. And then we'll have some specific questions for them. So my question, which is a common question for all, and it would be about for 3 minutes for you to answer, is what branding trends do you see gaining momentum in India over the next few years? I would forward it to Mr. Sunit Jain.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me and being part of the panel. I think it's a great privilege. Thanks to Dipanita, particularly CII, YI, DY365 for organizing a conclave on marketing and branding for the first time. I think that has happened. It has never happened in the past that I'm aware of. And I see a lot of friends that I am so glad to catch up after such a long time. Dr. Acharya, thank you so much again for the question. Your question is, what are the trends that we see in branding in the next couple of years that we see? I think, branding has been consistent with the idea of remaining authentic. Branding is not just about the logo or the signage or the hoardings that we see in terms of a marketing communication element, but branding is about what we promise and what we deliver. So if we continue to deliver what we have been promising as organizations, as brands, then we are going to see that in continuity in the times to come, which we have seen in the past. And brands which fail to deliver on promises that they make through various medium of communication will have a tough time. Because now in the coming years, we are seeing a very interactive and two-way communication with the citizens and the consumers in general through the advent of digital space and social media, where we get to hear, and there are constant backlashes that we also witnesses about brands and organization from time to time. So if your brand is not authentic, you will see those backlashes coming, which was not happening in the past because there was no medium to sort of revolt back or answer back or, create a dialogue. With the advent and the popularity of social media that we see, the kind of engagement that the platforms are offering, we'll continue to see more engagement with consumers, with brands who are authentic as well as otherwise. I think that's my take on it.
Yeah, very, very beautifully and put because the authenticity is what that matters. Okay, so Mr. Akash.
Good evening to all. First of all, I thank you, DY365 and CII, IWN, to organize such a wonderful event. So my answer to this, your question is like branding, yeah, you already told about the authenticity and all. So I am representing one brand, Bahuboli X. Actually, I'm the founder of Bahuboli X. If you see, my brand is like my work. Actually, I'm a layer farmer. I have almost 1,20,000 seconds. So I produce almost 1,00,000 of eggs per day. And I produce another one product of my brand, like it is called Thandara. It is a biofertilizer. We produce almost 2,500 metric tons of biofertilizer. We have, this is the first brand that is coming out of a layer farm, biofertilizer. This is the first kind of a initiative and a brand. So if you see my brand and like the Bahuboli, what I represent, basically if you see, like in India, there is not even a single, when we started, even we didn't know it also it will become a brand. We started an egg farm basically. We started an egg farm, almost 10,000 capacity at that time in 2018. So we have grew in numbers, like the production and all. So, but what he told, Mr. Sumit, the authenticity and like people have to like the product, the brand. Whatever, like in our earlier like no discussion, like brand marketing and all. So what we tried our in marketing, like the after marketing only the branding will come out. So our brand will comes it organically, like people mouth of like people tells like okay, this is a good product, like, and before that actually they never heard of a egg brand. Like there was not even a single brand like there is. It is like a simple product, like grocery product. Like in potato, in onion, you don't have any brand. Like eggs also, there was not even a single brand was there. But due to we started it as a, when we started, like we then thought ki, if people have to identify our product, I identify the product, like how it is good, how it is like product wise, quality wise, how it is, they have to recognize the product. Then the idea came like, okay, we can brand this as a, we can brand it in some logos or something. Then the idea came like, okay, the Bahuboli whole logo and the name came into our mind. So what you just mentioned, like this branding is mainly the people have to like the product. Then the authenticity is the main thing. Thank you.
Yes, the authenticity of the product and I think the name also. Because when you say it's Bahubali, you feel like, oh, you're getting some strength out of it. So my son, he's appearing for boards. Whenever he comes back home from hostel, we get the Bahubali eggs for him so they can study more. So it's also on the name, you know, how catchy and how it gets into the, crowd, the people, how they accept it. So Mr. Pradeep, over to you.
So as far as trends are concerned or future trends are concerned, as far as branding is concerned, I would mention one subject, and that is the Indian consumer, and more so the Northeast consumer, are now shifting towards quality, the premium, and it's not about sasta hai to bikta hai. It's now about quality and premium. So first of all, you must develop a product which is premium and good quality, and then brand accordingly. If you're having a good product which is premium in quality, but if you're not branding it accordingly, if you're not placing the product in that category of branding, then I think you're not doing the justice with your product. So the future trend is premium and quality, and we must all develop our products which are good in quality and then brand them accordingly.
Okay, so basically the brand positioning, how we position it in the market. And over to you, Ms. Vandana.
So, when you look at the trends for branding, you have to actually look at it not just from a brand perspective, but from the environment perspective as well. So, consumers are changing. You have to recognize that, the consumers that were there 2 years ago have evolved. In fact, they've evolved even in the last 6 months, they've evolved. So how do you actually keep pace with the changing consumers? How do you keep pace with the changing media landscape? How do you keep pace with the distribution channels? We know, like, for example, everyone talks about retail, modern trade. We know that there are so many brands that are actually just being built on Instagram now. Neiman's shoes is one example, and I can count many more. So, you have to be cognizant of the fact. So while, of course, authenticity, premiumness, I agree with everyone, but there is a larger picture that one has to see, and one has to keep adapting to changing times, and the formula that's going to work today may not work tomorrow. So you have to also keep reformulating that formula in order to make your brand relevant. And Deepanita, when she had started off, she talked about how Kodak is no longer there because they did not make any effort to add relevance to their brand. So I think that, and of course now with the changing media, mix around us, we have to keep seeing, like Instagram has recently changed, the duration for the reels. They've changed their sizes. You have to constantly be aware of what is happening because, brand in isolation without telling your story to the world is going to just be a well-kept secret with you. So, in a nutshell, that's what the trends are. And of course, one has to, while of course we know influencers, everything is on the rise, but like the previous panelist said, everyone is a mini influencer in today's times. So we also know that recently there is this entire regulation council that has been formed, on what can be said by influencers and what cannot be said, because we know that there was a lot of, chatter because of some stuff being said. So what we'll also see is that there will be far more regulations, and in a very cluttered environment, how there has to be lot more effort in putting your mind to how do I stand out in the clutter? What is the story that I'm going to tell that is going to be different? Even if you have a Me Too story, that's not a problem, but how will you tell it differently? So these are some of the trends, I would think.
All right, thank you. So it's about the story, how we keep evolving and how we meet the expectations of the people. Over to you, Mr. Mishra.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Prashant Kumar Mishra. I am representing Smart IS Foundation here. So a brief introduction about Smart IS Foundation. It started in 2009 with the name Smart Foundation. And we were teaching for UPSC Civil Services aspirant as well as APSC Civil Services aspirant. And you can just imagine, we were based in Guwahati, and today also we are based in Guwahati. And the students from all over India started coming at that time to the Guwahati. In 2012, we got rank 8 in UPSC Civil Services examination. Harshika Singh is the name. And from MP, from Madhya Pradesh, from Gujarat, from so many places of the India, students used to visit previously for preparation of civil services in Assam. So that kind of brand we had previously because of the faculties we have. So as a service sector industry, we can just say one thing. The only thing which matters is the experience and the end result at the same time. Experience is the overall process, and the end result is the substance that we are going to provide to our customers. If we keep on adding to the experience and substance, even after the result, if we are able to connect with the student, if between the preparation journey, if each and every faculty member with the faculty teachers and also the students. So this is what required with the service industries. So branding is important in a way that if we talk about the service industry, the overall experience is very important, and also what we are going to deliver. Also, initially we should not overpromise. So whatever anyone is promising, they should try to deliver to the fullest, or even deliver more than what is promised. So this is what has made us institute in Guwahati, who has produced not only the APSC result, but also the UPSC Civil Services result.
Thank you. The experience and taking this forward, we move to the second round of this session where we'll talk about ask individual questions, and we have 6 minutes per speaker. And my first question is to Mr. Sunit Jain. What are the key strategies and factors to consider when positioning a brand in a competitive market to ensure differentiation and long-term success? Over to you.
It's a fairly long question, Dr. Acharjya. Are you being tough on me? I think it's a genuine question, but also a very theoretical thing, because it's very different from sector to sector, market to market, and industry to industry, and the time frame that you are working at. So strategies and factors would vary in very many contexts. So there are too many parameters here. But if you ask me, and since you asked, what are the various strategies and factors that will define the positioning that we should do in a competitive market, right? Which will ensure differentiation and long-term success. So long-term success now, I think, has the whole definition of long-term has changed. What used to be long-term back 10 years back is not long-term anymore, because everything is changing so fast that we don't even know what we will do after 3 years in a product category that we are invested in and marketing currently, because things will change and the environment is so fast changing that your strategy that you do now will have to change and adapt. Like Vandana also said earlier, that you have to be very adaptive. So you don't really know what will work in long term. So I think that question, by that point of view, that part of the question, I think is challenging, also very difficult to answer for me. And for most of us, I think, because long term is not long term anymore. We almost live in real time now. So we have to look at what we can do for the immediate next 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. And that's how brand strategies have to be largely framed fundamentally and have to be adaptive from time to time. So that is one part of the answer. Second, you said what strategies, and you mentioned the differentiation part of it to ensure differentiation. I think that itself is the answer. So differentiation itself is a strategy. Okay, and you have to differentiate your product, your messaging, your imagery, everything. And now, in fact, what used to be differentiation earlier has now, in fact, changed significantly and has become what we call disruptive. So everything has to be disruptive. It cannot be differentiated anymore that, okay, we see, for example, Star Cement on red and Dalmia Cement on blue. So that is not differentiation anymore. We have to see something which is more disruptive. And when I say disruptive, all the brands are now, who are running campaigns and communication in line with today's audiences and consumer behavior, they understand that unless you do something which is what I would call crazy, you cannot get their attention, because we are living in the Instagram era now, and we are spending so much time on social media platforms where to gain attention of a consumer is so difficult, is so extremely difficult to get him connected, him or her connected to even a 15-second reel. We move on to the next very quickly. So there is attention deficit, and to remain committed to the idea of the brand's messaging, unless you are disruptive, like crazy disruptive, you have lost. I think we have all lost the game. So we have to be disruptive to the core. And we have seen very interesting case studies in this spaces very recently by popular brands like Zomato and Swiggy, who have gone all out and done extremely disruptive campaigns and have gained popularity and support from consumers of their respective categories. We have also seen campaigns from Cred. You may have seen, we have seen Rahul Dravid's campaign. I believe some of you have seen Rahul Dravid's campaign, yes? The Cred campaign, yeah? So how do we always imagine Rahul Dravid, right? The depender, the dependable guy, the smart guy, the intelligent guy. But in the Cred ad, we have seen Rahul Dravid in a completely new avatar, which is not the idea of Rahul Dravid that we have conditioned our mind to understand and accept. So it's very contradicting. It's very anti your original idea. So that, gains your attention. Arey, Rahul Dravid aise kaise? Matlab, we did not expect Rahul Dravid to be like that. Similarly, Swiggy did the campaign with Juhi Chawla recently, if you remember. So that was very disruptive. Unless you do something very disruptive, you can't get consumer attention. So you have to do something really crazy now. You can't do same thing that will work all the time, like Vandana said, very, very, correctly. So differentiation in terms of strategy will work always. And in terms of factor that you said will continue to, ensure long-term success or growth is basically also the idea that, when we were learning marketing or in the early career days, we were taught about, talking about the USP of a brand communication. USP is the unique selling proposition, which has now become the UVP, which is the unique value proposition. So in long term, you have to create value for your brand. You have to create value for your customer. Only then the customer would remain with you. Selling proposition idea is gone now. So that era is over. So we have to create, as brands, as organizations, as storytellers, we have to create stories that consumers relate with and they associate with, and they see value in real life, real terms. So that is, I think, a factor that will contribute to overall marketing and success story.
Thank you. The value proposition, different ways in which we can attract, because again, like we said about the attention deficit, because people don't stick to things and they have a lot of options in the market. So there are certain things which need to be different, and it needs to be different in a way that it attracts attention. So that is the key point. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
moving on to Mr. Akash, you've had a long journey in terms of your experience in organic and poultry management. And how did that experience or working in those lines help you in establishing the Bahuboli brand? You can briefly tell us about the story, how all of it evolved.
Thank you. Actually, I'm not a farmer, or I'm not a veterinarian by profession. Actually, I was a computer science graduate engineer, passed out in 2001. So from Bangalore University. Then I started my company, techno-based company. We are basically a system integrator. Still now we are a system integrator. So I started this Bahuboli brand, or the farming kind of a business from 2018 only. So, because a lot of people ask me, like, how from a computer science graduate suddenly comes and becomes a farmer. So, if you see Assam's economic, product-wise, like if you see like our supply and demand ratio. So this is the main agenda. Actually, I came into this sector because in 2016 the government changed, then over the media and all the organizations and like they are all people are telling ki like why not at least the basic things you can produce in Assam. Basic things means basic food things like eggs, fish, meat, all those things. So because if you see Northeast is a complete almost 80% people are non-vegetarian peoples, unlike in other states in India. So people eat egg. Egg is like a nothing. Like if you don't have fish and meat, people goes to eggs because people wants to have non-veg in each and every meal here in this part of India. So that is why the demand was very high. So but due to some climatic condition and due to some all these different issues actually for production and all. So earlier people never tried in a big way in egg production. So when I see this opportunity as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, I started this one. So in 2018, then suddenly, like gradually, I work on this and started from 2,000 eggs per day. Now it becomes a 1 lakh eggs per day. And a few days back, we had signed an MOU with the government of Assam to produce 3 lakhs eggs per day, like the triple our production in next coming 2 years, because it is. Mainly due to the supply and demand only. Like what you asked me, like what is the basic question actually?
So
like
what's
how
the
I
story?
see
How this experience in
in coming years, like okay.
Yeah.
So this coming years means Assam has a huge potential for this kind of agriculture elite industries, because if you see Assam used to call as a agriculture state. So people, 80% of the people depend on different agriculture activities only. So what I feel we have to have this kind of agri-elite industries where like the farmers can, because egg is a agri-elite industries only. We depend on our chickens depend on the like maize and other feeds what farmers grow. So this kind of agri-elite industries have a lot of potential in Assam. Lot of agri-elite industries are there. So thank you.
Thank you. So basically, when you moved forward towards establishing the Bahuboli egg brand, it was all your experience that helped you in getting, and the thought that you would want to create something which is differentiating the eggs from the regular eggs in the market. Yes. So that was your driving force, to establish it in that manner, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and your experiences. Moving on to Mr. Pradeep. Star Cement is something I've heard for so long, since I was donkey's years. I was very young then. So Star Cements, and there are a lot of other cements, the national brands, there's so many, and in the construction industry, it's a real pull, who will be buying what and how can we supply more. It's completely a supply chain of work. So how, because you've been wearing a lot of hats, you've done a lot of things in terms of, the supply or the budgeting or operation management, all of it. So just share your experience on how Star remains a star in the cement, in the construction industry. And how did you manage to do that? I mean, the branding, from the branding standpoint.
So as far as you have two questions more specifically. One is how logistics and supply chain has been supporting in this, and how did we keep ourselves branding to the position that we are in. So first of all, cement being high volume, low price material, which is having a logistics cost of more than 30%. going into the product. So when a product itself is having 30% as logistics cost, obviously supply chain or logistics becomes very, very important as far as your brand positioning is concerned, or your winning the market is concerned. So that is one place, and as Sunit was very rightly pointing out about disruption, and a big disruption. So that is what Star had created in the year 2004 when we started 20 years ago. That we really created a disruption in the entire cement space as far as Northeast is concerned. Till then, the cement was all but coming from the central India by railway rakes into Northeast. And by the time it used to reach to a consumer, the condition of cement used to deteriorate like anything because of multiple handlings, then going into godown and then remaining for a lot of time into stock and multiple handlings, used to deteriorate the quality of the cement. What we did in difference is that we committed that, okay, we will deliver the cement fresh to your retailer's shop, from where it can directly be given out to the consumer. So it's only one handling that takes place and the cement quality remains intact. So the two things, we made very good quality of cement, which was endowed upon us by the virtue of nature, given us very good quality of limestone in Meghalaya, where our plant is situated. Then such good quality was delivered in such condition to the consumer. So this was one big disruption which made us win the market in Northeast. But okay, this was one disruption. We came into the market. A lot of branding was done. A lot of teaser campaign was done. If people of that time are sitting here, they would remember, "Meri to setting ho gayi aapki." So that is how we started the entire brand journey. And from there, we continuously adapted ourselves to the changing needs. We kept changing upon our brand positioning. We kept changing upon how we go to the market. And we made sure that our logistics and supply chain systems are so robust that even in the most dynamic and VUCA conditions of Northeast, supplies to the consumer was uninterrupted. So that is one big way in which we could win the market. Today, yes, we have a new, in the process, today we have a new avatar of our branding, and now we are celebrating the celebrities of Northeast. Like now we are having our campaign going as Har Ghar Mein Star. And in the process, we are actually having all our brand ambassadors are from Northeast. We're not having any national brand ambassador. Earlier we used to have, but we have changed it now, Har Ghar Mein Star, and thus is my Northeast stars are my stars. So we have taken a number of Northeast stars as our brand ambassadors, and this is how we are taking our brand journey further.
So this is lovely. It's about the change that we need to, with the changing times, the things change, the branding change, the positioning change, maybe, how we feature it in the market. It is all, different. So we need to keep evolving. It's a mindset. I feel a lot about the mindset.
It is mindset, and it is not only mindset, it is like in which business you are, and how important the supply chain or the distribution network is. Like in our case, it was so very important. Similarly, if you want to go for a case study or an example, paints is another industry in which the same thing happened. Asian Paints came up with the idea of distributing, like the retailer need not to keep so many stocks, because in paints you have multiple shades and multiple these things. So one disruption came is you have the machine, you make the blend of the color and you distribute it. So much of stock keeping was done away with. So that was one big change in the entire marketing or the supply chain or distribution is concerned of paint. Similarly, Asian Paints did the different thing that they kept very distributed network of their own warehouses from where they were delivering to their retailers in a few hours. So the replenishment speed was as high in Asian Paints, and it is as high in Asian Paints, that the retailer need not to worry about ki kaun sa shade khatam ho gaya. Just a call and the replenishment comes in. So that is one big advantage of supply chain that you can create in your marketing and branding and the entire distribution network as well.
Absolutely. So it's different, a little different across different sectors, but how we kind of keep evolving. That is the key. So moving on to Ms. Vandana. So my question to you is, how can brands leverage strategic and creative collaboration to create a deeper connection with their target audience and effectively engage specific market segments?
Wow, there are too many sub-segments to it. But because disruption is something that everyone's talking about, so I plan to just not sit and answer. So I'm going to get up first, because I think this is another way to show disruption. You don't follow the norms of sitting on the panel. And of course, I have a confession, my feet were not reaching the ground. So, just to quickly answer what the question that I've been asked, so, we need to keep in mind am I covering you? Shall I come at the back? Yeah, no, I think I'll stand here. So, to keep in mind that we need to understand what resonates with our target audience. So, I'm going to just dissect whatever's been asked. So, once we know what clicks with the target audience, what is the kind of media that they're consuming, what is the kind of content they are consuming, what is the kind of brand we want to market, what is the value of that brand, what is the value of, if we want to go ahead and do a collaboration with another brand, do our brand values match with each other? A successful marriage will happen, or shall I say flirtation also, only if there is chemistry, there is bonding, there is values that are valued between the two partners. So definitely one brand can ride on another brand. And we do have various examples of co-branding. I can give you 2 examples that come to mind. Quite a few of here are women. So we've all heard of Betty Crocker's, cake mixes and brownie mixes and all of that. And we also know that Hershey's makes chocolate syrups. So, they did a co-branding effort and created. So basically when you buy, you can either do a bundling of package, when you're buying a Betty Crocker, you get a Hershey's, or you get the brand name mentioned on that pack. So that's one way to do co-branding. The other example that comes to mind is H&M. H&M we know is our stores and also online. Sabyasachi we know is one of the famous designers. And Sabyasachi is known for his traditional attires. Of course, fashion label. And H&M, of course, we know is for all Western clothes. And, I went to an H&M store and I said, oh, wow. I mean, there is Sabyasachi collection, which is being showcased in one particular section. And then, it was all about actually offering. So what happened? Why did they two collaborate with each other? Because H&M wanted a larger base, a base where they could be associated to an extent, wanted to just, someone said, little premium offering. So while of course it's a mass brand, wanted to show that they're a little more premium. So that's why collaboration from their end. Sabyasachi, because obviously right now he's a designer label and he's catering to very select upmarket luxury segment. So for them to collaborate with each other, it actually was offering to the consumer affordable luxury. So co-branding is one of the ways. And of course, there was the previous panel discussion also talked about influencers. Influencers is another way. Of course, you need to see how you want to use them. So a skincare brand, for example, can actually pick up a dermatologist as an influencer. Or even if you want to pick up a Kusha Kapila, who's actually making her own reels, but she blends in through her style your product very effortlessly. So that's another way to do it. More ways of collaboration that come to mind is that, you feel very good when you get these, these offers that come to you before it's open to the public. So a Tata Click, for example, is a e-commerce platform, and Apple had, kind of collaborated with them and said all Apple products that are going to come will have a special preview before it's open to the public. So that is another way to do collaboration. I can actually go on and on, but I will still, I have a few more examples, so I'll talk about it. When we are watching all events, sports events on Disney Hotstar, Swiggy tied up with them because they said that people, when they are watching matches, obviously bhook lagti hai, celebrate karna hai, it's your time off. So they tied up with Swiggy and they were actually catering to the same audience, which was watching for the thrill and also wanted good food to go along with the thrill. If you look at Uber's actually collaborated with Spotify, and what happened was that, you could play your list while you were, can you imagine that both the partners came from the same objective of how to make the journey, the car ride enjoyable. So Uber obviously gives you all the benefits of taking you from point A to point B in an effortless, nice fashion. And Spotify gives you that audio company along with it to make your journey better. So these are actually collabs that I can think of where people are, like-minded and they're kind of coming together. Very interesting. And so actually Lay's recently, I think it would be about 6 months ago, they tied up. So now can you imagine a pack of chips, but they tied up with a Chinese fashion label brand called Huan. And why? Because they said that both of us stand for the same set of values which are embedded in pop culture. And which is about vibrancy, because Lay's ke packaging, agar aap dekhenge, green, yellow, red, they're all kind of, vibrant with lots of colors. And so is the style of this particular fashion label. So, and kind of wanting to ride onto each other. Now, why do collabs happen? Collabs happen because at the end of the day, I should say collaborations happen because at the end of the day, it is, maximizing resources, because if you kind of ride onto each other, you're maximizing resources. Also, you're reaching out to a larger audience, because if you're going to do it in isolation, you have that much straight-off population. But if you do it in conjunction, you get much more larger database to you. So, and especially for people who had, we heard in the previous that they had limited budget. So one way, and then of course there is bundling, which is there. We talked about Bahuboli eggs, for example. One can actually just tie up with, normally you associate eggs with bread, butter. So, you can bundle it with some bread brands. We'll talk about it later. I have a few ideas. So yeah, these are some of the things that come to mind. And like I said, I can go on and on, but I'm conscious of the time because I was told that we have only 5 minutes to speak. Yeah.
So this was really interesting. I've got a few cues. I'll be thinking on those as my brand is concerned, about collaboration with somebody and taking it forward. Coming to Mr. Prashant. It's yours is a service sector. It's about education. And I also come from the education sector. So I know how difficult it is to brand education per se. We can think of a good name, we can do stuff, but then branding it and taking it forward is really difficult. So can you share with us your journey of branding your IS Foundation?
When I talk about our journey of Smart IS Foundation, so Smart IS Foundation is basically built on the concept that if we are trying to deliver the concept of making you an IS officer, an IFS officer, IPS officer, or an ACS officer per se, the faculties should be top-notch. The faculty's qualification should be top-notch, and we have ensured that, for example, 3 and 4 of our faculties come from the esteemed IITs. I am also from IIT Dhanbad. I graduated in IIT Dhanbad from 2013. And after that, 5 year, I taught in the place called Kota. And then at the same time, I was preparing for civil services also. Thrice I made into the interview. And after rejecting from the interview board, I started teaching again and continue my teaching journey. So this is about me. So there are many faculties. For example, one of my friend who is here, he is the author of 45 books. 45 books, every book is important for UPSC civil services. For example, books related to MCQs, book related to answer writing. There are 16, 17 subjects that the students need to learn, need to write, need to do MCQs. So we focus on our faculties. One of our faculties has a master degree from University of Michigan. He is from Guwahati itself and graduated from IIT Dhanbad. So there are numerous faculties from JNU. So the most important thing, what we believe in our faculties. So faculty should be top notch. After that, the faculty and student ratio should also be adequate. If there will be too many students, we can teach thousands of students at a time, but that is pointless. Because when we talk about the competitive examination is about personalized guidance. If we cannot provide the personalized guidance, a student will be misguided for sure. They will take guidance from their seniors, their peers, and most of them are misguided themselves. So obviously they are not going to succeed in their journey. So what is most important is, one, the quality of the faculties, and also the faculty and the student ratio should be made proper. So these are two important things. After that, since students and teacher ratio is adequate, students get enough time to talk to their faculties, talk about respective subjects, talk about the problems that occur in their day-to-day preparation journey. So we try to address that specific problems by allocating a specific time to the students. Be it offline students who is coming to us at the center, or an online student sitting anywhere. Primarily we have students from Northeast only, but we do have students who are preparing in Delhi. At the same time, they are not very satisfied with the services there, so they are also taking guidance from us. So we have a student from all over the India, I can say, right now. 1-2 students from South India also, who are taking online guidance from us. So this is very important in a service sector, because in a service sector, when we talk about customer wants good experience. Apart from the good experience, they also want result. So if the customer or the student per se, if I talk about the education sector, they are lacking effort from their side, that is okay. But the effort should not be less from our side. This is what we believe in, because if we commit something, we have to deliver something. And if we are going to commit, we have to follow a process. So initially also, a student or any kind of customer should not be misguided by over promises that we are going to provide this and that, and at the end we are not going to provide anything like that. So obviously by that, by false promising and everything, we are creating bad ambassador for ourselves. So for anyone, I can see some of the students sitting at the back. If you want to become an entrepreneur in the service sector per se, so every customers should be your ambassador. And by making every customer as your ambassador, you can grow your brand throughout. Throughout means that is enormous growth in the times to come. For example, if you talk about short-term branding can be anything. For example, so many creative, you are going with the digital campaigns and you are taking influencers along with you, and so many other things can be done. But for the long-term branding, you need to generate that trust. You need to generate that brand ambassador. For example, if I talk about Star Cement here, Pradeep sir is sitting here. So if someone has built their house with Star Cement, and he has found that yes, the house is working perfectly, so he or she can tell their friends that yes, you can go ahead with the Star Cement. So this is the idea. The idea is creating more and more ambassador for yourself, whether you are in goods sector or in the services sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So it's about the experience, the honesty. Every brand, the honesty and the, the credibility, the honesty, and how we put it forward, the evolving, all of it comes together to form a good brand, the experience, and also the word of mouth, like you said, because for education industry, I feel it's really the word of mouth that, plays a key role. And for all other industries, I would say, because, yeah, like you said, the cement, if somebody likes it. If I'm reading a GPlus and I get very good authentic news, I would definitely say that, you should subscribe to it. So a lot of things, it's about the honesty of business. I feel ethics is very important in all businesses that we do, because without ethics, without originality, and without a mindset that looks forward, we will not reach anywhere. It's going to be very short term. So in order to be long term, It needs to have a lot of things going on together, and the mind needs to work, in terms of how we are working. So now we are almost at the end of this session, and we open it to the floor for any questions. We welcome for our panelists. So we can see a few hands raised, and if we have the microphone sent over, it would be, good number of hands raised. But we need the questions to be short and crisp, so that we can finish on time. Yeah.
But ma'am, I had questions for two speakers.
Oh, please,
Can I go ahead? All right. The first question would be for Pradeep sir from Star Cement. Second question will be to Akash da from Bahuboli X. So the questions for Pradeep sir. So every time you plan a campaign, because you need to improve the brand recall, does it impact your sales positively? If it does, how do you budget? Because you budget the campaigns, right? Because you need to spend before the sales comes in, right? That's one question. Second question, do you work with agencies who are from outside? And if answer is yes, would you ever work with a small agency like us who are creative from the local market? That's two questions for you. The one question I have for Akash da is, I have seen him building Haas, which is heritage liquor, and he's trying to promote it across Assam and take it to the world. How does he thinks to take it against the giants? Thank you.
So, since the first two questions were with me, so let me start the answers to you. Number one, your first question that you gave me is entire branding. And giving you an answer right away here would be not justified. But just to try to answer to you, we certainly have professional mechanisms through which we measure the outcome of our branding effort or the campaign that we launch, and what are the results out of that, and whether it was positive or not, and if it is not positive, what corrective measures do we need to take. So there is a complete professional mechanism available in our organization which takes care of this. Now that mechanism is long enough not to and cannot be told out here in one line. The second question, as you said, the creative agencies. Yes, we do have creative agencies of working with us, which are from Northeast as well as from outside. There are certain level of creative agencies which we are sourcing from outside, and a lot of creative work that we get done here in Northeast. And as far as yourself is concerned, you're most welcome to join us as a creative agency. We will certainly look at your pitch and take things accordingly.
Thank you, Rituraj. Point to your question, has actually for marketing and branding, it comes into the liquor segment, so it is a restrictive kind of a thing. We have to see, and it is unlike in Bahuboli, it is an open market. And secondly, if you see the it's domain in the market, other wines and all, fruit wines, like grape wines and other wines, popularly known as wines. So rice wine, people feel like it is like gargar murgi dal barabar. It is, people always have to think okay, it is available in the local markets also. But they find it a different kind of a perspective for soju and sake also, as it is also rice wines. So I think it will take some time for us we are trying for some other markets in Cosmos, basically, Bangalore and Pune and all. So let's see, because as it's a restrictive kind of a thing, so it is difficult sometimes. Thank you.
Which is very difficult at the moment. There are many startups which are dying. So how do you, go about devising or formulating communication strategy in order to convince and change the behavior of the consumer? Because it's general psychology or common psychology. People tend to, buy a curative product like insurance product. I hope you got my point. So how do we go about devising some, unique strategy in order to convince consumers to buy the preventive product? Instead of waiting for something to happen, why can't we, go about adding value in the initial stage? I'm a consumer. I want to remain fit and fine. Now everyone is health conscious. So my point is simple. How do we go about, devising uh, communication strategy in order to change behavior of the consumer or people at large? So anyone can answer to me, including the audience.
Hello. So you asked about why preventive healthcare is not being promoted to an extent in India rather than the curative healthcare. And you want to devise a strategy so that the preventive healthcare can be accessed by more and more people and they can get the products of preventive healthcare more and more, right? Okay. So when we go about the preventive healthcare is something that in most of the developing countries people ignore. So by just the way we can say that we are a developing country and still we are a lower middle income country. So people are not that much aware about the preventive healthcare benefits. That is the first thing. The second thing is you need to generate more and more awareness. You have to pick those stories, those real life stories that have that those who have just invested more in preventive healthcare, or also those stories who could not invested more in preventive healthcare earlier and they invested more in curative healthcare later. So you need to pick those real life story and thus create a narrative around yourself. For example, we were such a country where even most of the people were not even using the toilet. So a nationwide campaign was required in 2014 and it goes till now even that we need Swachhata Abhiyan, we need toilets at our home. So preventive healthcare is something bigger thing that you are targeting as per now. But obviously, there are real life stories. You need to pick those stories and you need to create the awareness regarding those stories. If you make them as your brand ambassador or storyteller, I think the product will sell. Thank you.
I think that's a very interesting question, but I think the time and the opportunity here is not enough to answer that or work on that as a idea. But fundamentally what we have seen in the past, historically in India at least, we have seen fear as a tactic or as a tool to sell preventive healthcare or insurance products, and that has done well. I mean, there are arguments whether these are ethical or not that continue to persist, but fear has been used significantly to sell something, because aisa nahi karenge to waisa hoga, and people are scared to buy, so people invest in products and services like that. So that has happened. That has worked well so far.
You see, preventive healthcare is something, who will benefit out of it? So the healthcare industry will never go for preventive healthcare. This is a general perception. Then insurance companies, obviously, if there is a risk of health problems, then the insurance company remains in medical insurance. So again, it is not very much in their interest. Who will do this campaign for preventive healthcare? Certainly, there are organizations which are into the space of preventive healthcare, and some of the disruptions have recently come. As one I can give you as Redcliffe Labs. They are into only testing, nothing to do with any other things, and they are testing it at very, very, very low cost. And they are always working on one narrative, and that is preventive healthcare. And they are reminding you time and again about your health and your last tests done, and based on that you should be taking care of this and go for another test and all that. So certainly the person who will be benefit out of a campaign will only do it, because we cannot leave it on the government agencies for doing campaigns on preventive healthcare. Those days are gone.
I'm Roshni. I've been building a startup on travel and learn programs where we take people to a new city, explore new things, authentic experiences from locals, and you learn a new skill like art, filmmaking, photography, stuff like that. So because I'm building a startup, I had a question. My question is to Vandana ma'am. Now, if I know the brand positioning, the brand values, like I have understood the personality that I want to create, right? And I know few ways to market it to people or create my brand positioning, like you said, also collaborations or doing campaigns and stuff like that. But I feel like the strategy comes with experience when you do trial and error, right? Which is working for you, what kind of collaborations you should do, should I do paid marketing or not, etc. But as a startup, how do you start understanding how do you launch your brand or how do you market your brand in the first place so that you don't ruin your positioning. If you're not from marketing background or from a designer background as such, then how do you kind of approach this?
Have friends in advertising. No, that jokes aside. Um, Essentially, as long as you're aware of and you're clear on your positioning and you've already started making steps towards being true to it, strategically, you would obviously, I mean, my suggestion is that you can't just, say that these are the 10 things I'm going to do. Out of those 10 things, even if you list them down, normally that's how strategy works as well, saying that these are the first 2 priority things that I would like to focus on. And we are thankfully, I mean, the set of panelists even before and even we are aware that we are thankfully in a day and age where data rules. So whatever effort you're going to do, even if you do 1 or 2 steps, it is very easy for you to measure that and to see whether you're in the right direction or you're in the wrong direction. So you need to set a goal for yourself in terms of saying that these are the X number of retreats I want to do. These are the X number of people I want to engage with. And this is how I'm going to be doing. Of course, there is no, like I had said even earlier, there's no set formula. But when you take 1 or 2 steps, you learn. And of course, data keeps playing it back to you saying that you're moving in the right direction, or you need to recraft or rechange your strategy. When we take a break, I can also talk to you separately. Come to me.
That'd be great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I think we'll take one last question.
Hi, it's indeed a privilege to see so many marketing veterans on the space. My name is Nazam. I am from the food and beverage and learning and development space. I want to ask you a very simple question. What happens when a brand diversifies? Now, the issue happens is that, and it's happening with me as well, when you try to do multiple things, your consumer tend to, think of you as an expert in one space and not as an expert in the other spaces, right? How do you build that trust in the brand that you are equally, capable of doing 2, 3 things in the similar fashion, and you can bring out the output for the consumers? Thank you. Any one of you can answer the question. Thank you.
Shall I? Okay. You need to first define the core of your brand. So, I mean, if you're going by the same brand name, if you know that what is the core of your brand. So say, for example, there's Dove, and Dove stands for a particular core, and one would see that they haven't ventured beyond. I mean, there is no Dove toothpaste, there is no Dove anything else except for where they are right now currently present, which is soaps and shampoos and conditioners and all of that. So I think it depends on if you're carrying forward the same brand name and looking at extensions into separate categories, you need to see whether that brand name, the core of it, holds true for the other categories or not. We've done various researches where if there is a particular brand name, which is, say, for example, I mean, there is a brand name called Vatika shampoo for Dabur. So there's a study which was conducted saying that can we actually from shampoos get into soaps? And clearly the research showed that you cannot, because you're promising hair care and you're promising, hair care a natural way, and soaps do not fit into that category. So clearly, and at the same time, we have various other examples where there have been extensions and they've been popular as well, right? So, I mean, if you look at, let me think. I mean, let's look at Amul, for example. Amul stands for Taste of India. So anything that is, so their core is Taste of India. We add to, I mean, we cater to India and we add to the taste in whichever way. So whether it is the butter or it's they've come, like they had cheese, now they've gotten into cheese spreads, now they're getting into many other categories, and they're also diversifying on their cheese offerings, etc., etc. So anything that is inherently built within the brand can actually go for extension under the same brand name. Otherwise, if you're getting into different categories, maybe look at different brand names. Hope that answers your question.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vikram Mehti. I'm the Vice President of Vacunt Edtech. We are basically a technology development companies. Now, coming back to the marketing and the branding, I'm very surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm very happy that CIA has and IWN and DY 365 has arranged this, invited me here. My issue here is, our company has five patents. And I was actually, because we are technologists, we are not good in marketing. So we try to contact some of the marketing companies and all. We were not satisfied with the performance. Finally, an American company came to us, and to that company, we have given one product for marketing. And it is just 6 months back. They are so powerful that yesterday, they have got me an order of 72 engines, which will be manufactured in India from Poland. Now, my issue with youngsters is there, are we still looking for USP or value addition, which one of the gentlemen, sir, you have told me, the unique value proposition. I think so that's the catch. That is the catch. We need to create value. Please don't sell things which is, I don't know, being a technologist, I might not able to express myself. So my earnest request to all the youngsters, please add value. Don't repeat, don't invent the wheel again. The wheel is already been invented. So I'm still looking for a good marketing company in India, and in Northeast, because being from Northeast, I'm looking for some good marketing company which can promote my 4th patent. And these patents are basically can revolutionize the whole energy sector. And I'm fortunate that I was invited in the Assam Advantage, and I could see the potential. I can see the potential we Northeast have. Initially, I was not having much hope. In fact, my first manufacturing unit for engine is coming in Tamil Nadu. 2 years back, I requested government of Assam to give me some land to produce that engines. But they had so many issues. So now, coming back to the marketing and branding, I think so you guys have potential, especially the youngster I see in behind. Please add value. Don't go for, को बोलते ना, पैसा तो चक मार के आएगा. So please go for, don't think about the sell. वो तो झक मार के आएगा पैसा तो. Go for value, huh? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And we are at the end of this session, which was really insightful. I feel there are a lot of takeaways, a lot of things discussed in one single platform, because we talked about different sectors, and there were a lot of, I think a lot of value is added with this session to all our audience. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Thank you for sparing your valuable time and being a part of this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vasavvi, for moderating that wonderful session. We'd also like to thank the panelists, and may I request Richa Pandey and Farhana Subhan from IWN to kindly come forward and do the honors of felicitating our panelists. We thank Mr. Akash Jyoti Gogoi, Mr. Pradeep Purohit, Mr. Prashant K. Mishra, Mr. Sunit Jain, and Ms. Vandana Das. Thank you very much for this very, very interesting session. I'm sure the audience here has a lot of questions you may ask during the break. We're going to take a short break now, and you can ask your questions, meet up with our panelists, and of course ask them your relevant questions, which I'm sure they're going to answer. Thank you. If you can just step forward for the photo opportunity.